welcome to Lakes Chat. Hello and welcome to Lakes Chat. I'm your host, Jennifer Caddick with the Alliance for the Great Lakes. Much of our work wouldn't be possible without our amazing volunteers. Last year, nearly 9,000 volunteers participated in Adopt-A-Beach events, cleaning up hundreds of beaches around the Great Lakes region. And our more than 100 Alliance ambassadors helped us reach thousands more people around the region by spreading the word about how to help the Great Lakes. This week marks National Volunteer Appreciation Week, and today on Lakes Chat, we're chatting about volunteering to help the Great Lakes. I'm excited to have three guests joining us today. They are Olivia Retta, who is the Alliance for the Great Lakes Volunteer Engagement Manager based in Chicago. Olivia leads our volunteer programs, and she supports Adopt-A-Beach and ambassador volunteers across the Great Lakes region. Eileen Ryan is a longtime Alliance ambassador who lives in Chicago. She's also an Adopt-A-Beach volunteer, and Eileen has been volunteering with the Alliance since 2017. And Novum Chang is a volunteer with the Alliance Ambassador and Adopt-A-Beach programs. She lives in Hamburg, New York, which is on the shores of Lake Erie, and Novum has been volunteering with the Alliance since 2020. So welcome, Olivia, Eileen, and Novum. Appreciate you taking the time today. Olivia, let's start off with you to get everybody some background. I know we've talked in the past about our volunteer programs on Lakes Chat, but let's get everybody up to speed. So give us a quick recap of the two volunteer programs we have here at the Alliance for the Great Lakes, the Adopt-A-Beach and the Alliance Ambassadors Program. What do those volunteers do?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much, Jen. So to start with Adopt-A-Beach, our Adopt-A-Beach volunteer program is our beach cleanup program. And this program has been around for just over 30 years, so been around for quite a while. And through this program, each season, thousands of volunteers take part in beach cleanups all over the region. So that's happening along all 5 Great Lakes shorelines and in all 8 Great Lakes states. And through these cleanups, they remove litter from Great Lakes shorelines, and they also collect really valuable data about what type of litter they are finding on the beach. So we've had that data set now this year for 20 years. So really valuable data that they're collecting. So that's the Adopt-A-Beach program. And then our Alliance Ambassadors program is our other volunteer program where folks are passionate about protecting the Great Lakes, and they join the program and are able to receive different training on Great Lakes topics such as plastic pollution, water infrastructure, things like that. And then also about how to best advocate for the lakes in their communities. And then ambassadors are then able to put their passion and knowledge for the lakes to use by representing the Alliance at various outreach events. So some of those events are things like presentations to different community groups or tabling at different events in their community. And ambassadors are also able to share information, raise awareness about the lakes with family, friends, and within their networks as well. So they're big champions for the lakes, as well as our Adopt-A-Beach volunteers.
Give us a sense of impact. You know, I mentioned at the top that the Adopt-A-Beach program has thousands of volunteers. We have hundreds of ambassadors. What kind of impact do all these volunteers have on the health of the Great Lakes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, both programs, all of our volunteers have various impacts on the lakes each season. With our Adopt-A-Beach volunteers, like I mentioned, they're removing litter from Great Lakes shorelines. So, each season they're removing thousands of pounds of litter from Great Lakes shorelines. A lot of that is plastic, usually around 85% or so of what we're finding on Great Lakes shorelines is composed of plastic. And they're, through these cleanups, able to remove some of that. And, that litter, if left in the environment, could harm wildlife. It can end up polluting our drinking water source. So that's a big impact that they have. And then, like I mentioned, they're also collecting valuable litter data about what they're finding on the beach as well. And that's able to have a lot of different impacts too. So we have what we call litter monitoring forms, which are tally sheets that are used to collect, data about different categories of litter that we find on the beach, like things like cigarette butts or plastic pieces that are being used to track different litter that's found. And then by recording this litter, volunteers are able to help scientists study sources of pollution and also help policymakers develop local programs and policies as well. So they're able to have influence that way. And then our ambassadors, also have great impact on the health of the lakes. they really, help quite a bit by raising awareness about issues affecting the Great Lakes and inspiring others to take action. So, like I said, ambassadors are trained on some of these different issues. They come into the program with a lot of passion and their own knowledge of the lakes. And then in attending those different outreach events, they're able to share their passion and inspire attendees and listeners to take action for the lakes as well.
Thanks, Olivia. So, Novum and Eileen, I'm curious to hear from you. What made you want to volunteer to help the Great Lakes? And Novum, I'll start with you over in Western New York.
All right. I have a passion for water, especially fresh water. I love water sports, and clean water is essential for life and sustain for our ecosystem. So being a volunteer will allow me to learn more about the Great Lakes and also encourage others to get involved and motivating to them. So that's the major reason behind it.
That's awesome. Eileen?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yes, I, like Novum, have a passion for fresh water, but in particular, my lake, Lake Michigan. And I'm a visual artist, and I photograph every day the horizon line of the lake. And when I started hearing about the work that the Alliance does to protect the lake and advocate for the lake, I wanted to be part of it. So that's why I joined.
Awesome. And Novum, I know you volunteer with both the Ambassador and the Adopt a Beach program, but I'm curious, tell me about some of the things that you've done as an Alliance ambassador in your volunteer role.
I would love to be involved as many activities as I could, but one of the highlights is being the team lead at the Adopt a Beach program because it is a really great way to go to the beach. Who doesn't like the water, right? Who doesn't like to go to the beach and enjoy the sun while collecting the data and cleaning the beach to protect the health of the water. And this is one of the highlights for being, the ambassadors. And the other thing I am going to join is going to be hosting my first table events for Alliance for the Great Lake in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. I will share more.
That's great. That's a wide variety of activities. I love it. That's awesome. And I'm excited that you're doing something new with the tabling event. So that'll be a great way to reach a lot of people over in Western New York. Eileen, how about you? What are some of the things you've done as a volunteer, either as an ambassador or Adopt a Beach volunteer?
Well, I think this year might be my 5th year doing team leader of Adopt a Beach. And I started kind of hesitant. First, I went to a few beach cleanups and I was like, oh, this is so great. I could do this. And I remember there was a fun one where a local brewery co-sponsored, and then there was a party after the cleanup. And it was social, but I also felt like I was contributing to the environmental health of my city. And now I think this will be the 5th. We're collaborating. My beach cleanup is also being led with Organizing for Plastic Alternatives when we have a strong commitment to stopping single-use plastics and the single-use plastics entering into the lake. And I love that it's such age-friendly. I mean, we have children there picking up litter. We have teenagers. We have senior citizens. So I really enjoy that aspect of the Adopt a Beach cleanup. And then I've tabled a few events, I think at Loyola with their sustainability programs, and there's something at McCormick Place. And then all the webinars are fantastic to get this expertise that you all provide to us on the health of the lake, on the political action we can take, on, like I volunteered for the Dan Egan book presentation. So it's just wonderful to meet with these people that are like-minded and who are so committed to protecting the lake, the Great Lakes, and the environment. So it's been a real pleasure for me. It's not work, it's fun.
Both Novum and Eileen, you mentioned that you've been Adopt a Beach team leaders, and I know sometimes volunteers hesitate a little bit because it is a big job, but it also sounds a little overwhelming. Um, I'm curious what your advice would be for somebody who's maybe thinking about becoming a team leader. How did you find that experience? Was it really challenging to lead a beach cleanup event, or yeah, what was your experience like? Novum, I'll start with you.
I think my advice would be don't hesitate, just do it. Because it is a great way to demonstrate your passion and you learn it through, organizing or, participating in the activity. If you keep hesitating, you won't take action. So don't think too much, just take the actions and you can demonstrate your passion and also connect with the community and helping your own personal growth.
That's great. Eileen, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I would agree with Novum. Just do it. And the Alliance provides so many training. I mean, if you're intimidated by being a leader, or how do you mark this litter onto compile this data? I mean, the Alliance provides a lot of training, and I feel like Olivia and your team is there to answer questions if there's something that I'm not sure of. But I feel like the training makes it quite easy.
I guess, Eileen, I'll stay with you. What's the most fun moment you've ever had as an Alliance volunteer?
Oh, well, I have to say, I feel like the social aspects. I mean, I like leading the beach cleanup, like I mentioned. It's fun to see, like, I've recruited my teenage niece and nephew, and then to see people bring children or people that just walk up and say, oh, can I be part of this? But for me also is just the social aspects of the Alliance and the people I meet and all their knowledge about the lake. It just informs me, and I guess that's kind of fun. So that would be my most fun.
Yeah,
I
thanks,
would
Eileen.
echo
No,
it. I would
yeah.
echo it because I think the most fun moment is to meet people, to meet new people that you haven't met. And especially nowadays, you only see the names of the volunteer or the best, their photos on social media. But if you can meet them face to face, it's going to be able to form the connection and you change your whole impressions. And back to Eileen's point, you are able to meet people with like different age, you don't know how old are they until you meet them. So that is kind of fun for me the same way, yes.
And Novum, I'll stay with you on this. I also recognize that this is time, right? You're organizing people. And what would you say is what's been a big challenge or something you had to overcome as a volunteer?
I think for the volunteering, like the biggest challenge is when you talk about water, a lot of people they take the clean water for granted and they forgot that you need to protect them in order to enjoy them. So I found it is the very difficult part is to have people to take proactive approach instead of reactive. So sometimes when you talk to people to do a volunteering, they would ask you why and like what is the proactive approach we can we can do instead of reactive. So I hope being involved as a volunteer will be able to create more awareness to protect the fresh water and also to have more people to engage to help the objective to protect, also to clean the water, especially for the at the Adopt a Beach program and all the Alliance activities.
Yeah, Eileen, what about you? What's a challenge you've encountered or had to overcome as an Alliance volunteer?
Well, I guess the challenge, I mean, we have gone out and done some beach cleanups where the weather was really atrocious. For some reason, I did one in November, this past November. It was really cold and really windy, but it did build community because people felt like, oh, I got out there in this bad weather and I cleaned up the beach. So that was one challenge to get over. And I mean, I guess I can be challenged organizationally. So it's good for me to be organized the days before and have all my ducks in a row, quite literally, I guess. So, and then having the knowledge, you know, I try to retain the information about the status of the lakes and you know, and what the Alliance is doing to promote the health of the lakes. So it's challenging for me to keep all that information updated and then present it in a, you know, an accessible way at like the beach cleanup or at a tabling event.
Yeah. You and Olivia, actually, I'm going to toss it over to you. Maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the resources. You know, Novum and Eileen both talked about all the trainings that are offered and the materials that are available to volunteers. So could you explain, you know, to somebody who's maybe thinking about volunteering with one of these programs, what kind of support we offer Adopt a Beach team leaders and also the ambassadors?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Eileen and Novum, referred to, there's definitely a lot of different resources for both programs. For the Adopt a Beach program, we have a whole web page that links to all kinds of resources that helps you, with the planning process before you've even created your cleanup, all the way up until post cleanup, entering your data. And you can find that by going to greatlakes.org/resources. It's our team leader resources page. We have resources to help you promote your cleanup, some sample social media images and texts, customizable flyers, things like that to help promote your cleanup and tell folks that they're able to attend and sign up and how to do so. We also have a lot of different video tutorials that kind of walk you through different parts of the website, all the way from creating your cleanup, entering data, editing your cleanup, canceling if you need to for inclement weather. And those are all available on that resources page as well. We also have a how-to guide. I would say if you're going to start anywhere, that's probably the first resource to start with, because that really goes through the process from beginning to end. And then if you don't find something that you're looking for on the resources page, you can definitely always feel free to reach out directly to myself or the Adopt a Beach email. We're always happy to help. And then for the ambassadors program, that there's lots of resources to support you there as well. For anyone who's a little hesitant or not quite sure if it's matching what they're looking for, I always meet one-on-one, with a phone call to kind of talk through the program with anyone who's newly interested. So you can definitely feel free to reach out to me directly to talk more about the program. And then for any of the events that our ambassadors attend, I also meet virtually one-on-one to kind of help get you prepped and comfortable with the materials. So we definitely welcome folks from all different backgrounds. You can know lots about the lakes, or we have folks that newly moved to the area, know nothing, don't know a whole lot about the Great Lakes and just want to join to learn more. And that's great too. So definitely encourage you to reach out if you're interested.
One of the things I've found, at least myself, when I volunteer, is there's inevitably something that kind of surprises me. Either I learn new information about the lakes or myself or my community. And so, Novum, I think I'll start with you. Is there anything that you learned, through either of these programs that surprised you?
I think it's more the deep dive, the education program that, from the ambassador, because I've learned so much, especially when the sections talking about the invasive species. This is the least thing I could think about it until I learned about it. And it's just so surprised to learn about those invasive species. It's one of the leading cause to habitat destructions. I never thought about that. And then through the education, through the Alliance ambassador, I was able to get to know more and then share the education and knowledge to other people. And this is surprising me. And being a volunteer, one of the biggest things for my personal growth is to learn new things that I never thought I would think about or read about. So this is like surprise to myself, and also surprise to be a volunteer to learn such new things.
That's great. Thanks, Noam. Eileen, what has surprised you as a volunteer?
Yeah, I don't think I can top Novum. That's exactly true. I mean, the deep dives have been so educational. And then to share that out in my community has been a wonderful benefit, I guess, of volunteering. I guess that's about it. I don't know what I've learned about myself. It's just it just continues to inspire me, the lake and sharing information about the lake and images about the lake, and the Alliance is the perfect organization for me to do that with.
Yeah, you're both now full of fun party facts and trivia facts, right? And to explain to our listeners, those deep dives are as part of the ambassador program. Once a month, Olivia organizes for ambassadors a sort of a dig into on a key topic, whether it's invasive species or any of the myriad of other challenges facing the Great Lakes, but also skill building. I know that you've done some on public speaking and tabling and things like that. So. But I talked to an ambassador once a while ago. He was like, I'm now great at trivia. Anything about water, I got it. So an added thing to add to your arsenal. And, Novum, I'll go back to you. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I want to kind of return to it. What advice would you offer someone who is thinking of volunteering, either with Adopt a Beach or the ambassador program? What advice would you offer that potential new volunteer?
I would still say the same thing is like, don't hesitate, just do it. Because if you don't do it, you don't know what exactly that you can get into. Because once you get into more, and you will enjoy more, and you will find out yourself to be passionate about the water more than you can think of. If you keep hesitating, you won't take actions. Then you will just sit here for like still thinking about it. So go do it now, and that's the best thing. And check out what Olivia said, the website, and you'll get more information.
That's awesome. Eileen, any advice for somebody who's thinking about volunteering with the Alliance for the Great Lakes?
Yes, I would agree with Novum that just jump in and you really learn on the job. You shouldn't be intimidated by not having all the facts. Excuse this loud banging from my neighbor. But yes, just to jump in, and you'll have the support from the organization, and it's fun. So
thanks, Eileen. And Olivia, we have our annual Adopt a Beach Spring Kickoff events coming up on April 21st to 23rd, so Earth Day weekend. Tell us about that event and how people can get involved.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jen. So like you said, it's coming up quickly, approaching very quickly here towards the end of April. So as I mentioned a little before, our Adopt a Beach cleanups, happen throughout the season, from spring through the fall. And for some brave folks like Eileen and her groups, going out in November as well. But spring kickoff, this year, April 21st to the 23rd is really, our big kind of start to the season. So it's an exciting weekend. We have volunteers, hitting the beach all over the region to remove litter and collect data. So it's kind of the big kickoff of our season. And you can find a list of cleanups that you can join by going to our Adopt a Beach website, so adopt.greatlakes.org. And there's a Find a Cleanup tab on that website. And you can search for a cleanup, by location. So you can search, in your city or town. And you can also search by date. So if there's a certain date you're available, you can search by cleanups that way as well. And then you can also, it's not too late to still become a team leader and create your own cleanup for that weekend as well. So you can do that, on the same website, adopt.greatlakes.org. And if you want to learn a little bit more about, what being a team leader entails, you can go to greatlakes.org/team leader. And that kind of talks a little bit more about the process and how to do so.
Yes, and I would say jump in, all you beach cleaners that are intimidated by being a team leader, and come to my beach cleanup this Saturday. Oh, wait, not this Saturday, I guess a week from Saturday, the 22nd of April at Foster Avenue in Chicago.
Yes, exactly. You can come join Eileen on the beach.
And, Olivia, if folks can't join this weekend, how can our listeners get involved with volunteers? We talked about this a little bit, but just recap how listeners can get involved as volunteers with Adopt a Beach or the ambassador programs. It's not just this weekend, it's all year round.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. The, big start to the season is that Earth Day weekend, but lots of other opportunities to get involved if you're not available. Lots of ways to plug into both programs. So like I mentioned, our Adopt a Beach, cleanups will be happening throughout the spring, summer, and all the way, into the fall, usually through late October or so. So you can always find a list of cleanups that are in the system and available to sign up for on our Adopt a Beach website, adopt.greatlakes.org. You could always go there and refresh the page and see what new cleanups have been created, and you can register directly there on the website. And same thing with becoming a team leader. That's something you can do at any point in the season, by going to the Adopt a Beach website, creating a team leader account. Like I said, lots of resources to support you in that process. By going to greatlakes.org/resources, you can find all kinds of materials to support you there and video trainings as well. And then with the ambassadors program, if you're interested in learning more about that program and getting started as an ambassador, you can email me directly at oreda, OREDA at greatlakes.org. And we can set up a time to chat more about the program.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Novum, Eileen, and Olivia, for joining us today. And I know we can't have all of the thousands of volunteers who participate in our programs. So I hope on behalf of the Alliance, Novum and Eileen, you can sort of accept our gratitude for everything that all of you do for the Alliance for the Great Lakes and for the Great Lakes. It makes a huge difference. And helps us reach even more people each year and keep all those beaches clean. So thank you so much, Novum, Eileen, and all the volunteers out there.
Well, thank you for including me, and nice to meet you, Novum, officially.
Same here. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you.
Of course, and I just want to extend a thank you that Jen mentioned to Eileen and Novum, to both of you, and also to all of our volunteers that take part in both programs. We so appreciate all that you do.
Well, thank you again so much, everybody. And I just want to recap, Novum and Eileen both touched on this, but the sense of community that these programs bring. Yes, you're out there helping the Great Lakes, but I love that you're both talking about building community and meeting new people. And I think that's so much of what is all about this. The Great Lakes and all of this fresh water brings us together. We just greatly appreciate all you do. So thank you so much for joining us today. And for our listeners, I know we mentioned a bunch of resources and ways to get in contact. And so we will get all of that up on our podcast webpage, which is greatlakes.org/lakeschat. Thank you very much.